Nowadays, shopping online is more popular than ever, with many more people turning to the internet instead of waiting in those long lines. With the high volume of packages out there, it often means that stuff gets damaged, lost, stolen, or sometimes the item you receive isn't what you ordered at all. Occasionally, it's the delivery service that's at fault, but other times, it's something else. I've been doing most of my shopping online for the past few years now. So when my teenage daughter's birthday was coming up, I checked out this new website that I'd heard about. I read through the reviews first, and they were 50-50. A lot of people complained about getting the wrong color or the wrong size. Others said that the item they received didn't look like what was advertised. And many people said that when they received their items, that the packaging was ripped or smashed and the item was damaged. But then I came across the good reviews. Great price, it fit perfect, my child loved this. So I decided to give it a try. Wish had so many things to choose from, and their prices were phenomenal. I spent hours on their site debating on what to buy for my daughter. After finally settling on a pink sequin mini backpack and a purple rabbit for a phone case, I placed my order. I was shocked when I saw how much I'd been charged for shipping. It basically doubled the price of my total. I received an email a short while later telling me that I would be notified once my order was processed. A day later, I got that email, and then a few days after that, I got another saying that my items had been shipped. They would take a while to get here because they were coming from China and the average shipping takes 15 to 30 days. Good thing her birthday wasn't for another 2 months. I was pleasantly surprised when the first item arrived exactly 15 business days later. The phone case was beautiful. I knew she would love it. I couldn't wait for the backpack to come so that I could fill it with goodies. I planned to put the phone case in there along with some jewelry, a gift card to her favorite store, and some of her favorite candy that I had already purchased. But 30 days came and went, and my other package didn't arrive. So I logged into my account to check the shipping information, and it said that there had been a delay because the item was out of stock when I first placed my order. There was a message stating that it should be here within another 5 to 10 business days. I was fine with that, as long as it arrived in time for her birthday. It was only days until Lily's birthday, and her mother and I were getting together the last few things for her surprise party. I decided to pick up another gift for her because the backpack still hadn't arrived. But when I got home that evening, I was thrilled to see that there was a package propped up against my door. It was just like the reviews had said. The box was smashed open, and the package was wrapped in bubble wrap and orange packaging tape. The sticker where my address was written was ripped, and the return address was written in strange lettering. I knew it had to be the package I had ordered from Wish. I rushed inside to open it and was preparing to find a damaged item, but then I was disappointed to see that Wish had sent me the wrong package. I placed it back into the mutilated box and immediately headed to my computer to email them. After waiting a few hours, I checked my email and they had replied back. A customer service agent apologized for the mistake and said that I would receive a full refund. Then I was shocked to see that they said I could keep the wrong item that they had sent me. I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. Maybe I could sell it. The day before Lily's party, she came over after school and noticed the package sitting in the corner. "Is this for me?" she questioned. She walked over to it and began unwrapping it. She stared at the item in awe before I could stop her. "Wow, I've wanted one of these for a while now," she exclaimed excitedly with a huge grin. "No, it's not for you. I ordered something else and they sent me the wrong item," I told her. "But they said I could keep it." Her eyes widened as she begged, "Can I have it? Please, Dad. You can give it to me for my birthday." "You really want that thing?" I asked. "Yes, please. I really want it," she said. "Okay, happy birthday, sweetie," I told her as she gave me a kiss and a hug. Then she ran to her room with it, and I heard her on the phone talking to a friend. 5 minutes later, she called from the doorway. "Can Jasmine come over tonight? I want to try this thing out." I was looking forward to us spending some time together, but I guess it could wait. "Sure, honey," I replied. When Lily's friend Jasmine got here, we ordered some pizza and then the girls disappeared up to Lily's bedroom. A little while later, I was heading to my room when I overheard the girls talking. "Your dad is so cool. My parents would never let me have one of these things," Jasmine said to Lily. I smiled and thought to myself, yeah, I am pretty cool. Then they turned the light off and I could see under the crack beneath the door that they had lit some candles. I proceeded to my room and turned on the television. I began to doze off, but then was awakened by the smell of smoke and loud banging. I bolted out the door and straight to Lily's room. The girls were banging frantically on the door. "Dad, we can't get out," Lily screamed. "Okay, calm down." "What's that smell?" I asked. She told me that they had accidentally knocked over a candle and it burnt one of her throw pillows. "Are you girls all right?" I asked. "Yes," Lily quickly replied. After waiting a moment and not getting a reply from Jasmine, I asked again, "Jasmine, are you okay?" "Yes, sir, I'm all right," she answered with a sniffle. It sounded like she had been crying. I pried the door open, and when I barged inside, the room looked cloudy and was full of smoke, but everything seemed to be fine. "Open a window to let it air out," I instructed Lily. 20 minutes later, I heard a horn beeping outside. I headed downstairs and saw Jasmine hugging Lily goodbye. Once she left, I asked Lily, "What happened? I thought she was going to stay the night tonight." "She changed her mind," Lily said angrily. Then she picked up the game board and placed it carefully back into the box and then sat it in her closet. The next day we headed to Jump Zone. Lily loved coming to this place ever since she was a kid. She thought we were going there to meet up with my brother and his family so that she could hang out with her cousins for her birthday, but that's actually where her surprise party was. Everyone was already there waiting for us. "Wow, this place is packed today," she noticed when we pulled into the parking lot. I quickly texted her mom to let her know that we were right outside. Everyone yelled as we walked through the door. Lily was so shocked and excited. She wasn't expecting a party this year because her mother had recently lost her job and I just didn't have the money to pay for it alone. But everyone knew how much she wanted one, so they all came together to raise the money for it. After all of the kids ran off to go have some fun, Lily's mother approached me and angrily asked, "Why would you give her a Ouija board? She's been begging me for months now, and I told her that she couldn't have one." I informed her that I wasn't even aware of the fact that she wanted one until last night. "Look, if it's that big of a deal, I'll just tell her that she has to keep it at my house." "I'd rather she didn't have one at all, but you already gave it to her now," she said with an attitude and then stormed away. Later, when I ran into Lily, I asked her why she hadn't told me that her mom said she couldn't have one. She said that she didn't think it was that big of a deal. "You know Mom's a worrywart," she said with a laugh. "But how did Mom even know?" "Did you tell her? Because I didn't," she said. I told her that I hadn't mentioned anything about it. "Well, you have to keep it at my house," I told her. "Okay," she agreed. I noticed that her friend Jasmine was at the party, but that they weren't talking and hanging out. "Is everything okay with you and Jasmine?" I asked. "Yeah," she said, shrugging her shoulders. After the party, Lily headed back to my house to spend the rest of the weekend with me. I lugged her bouquet of balloons and gifts inside and upstairs to her room. As I approached the door, I thought I heard voices. I assumed she had left her stereo on, but when I opened the door, the voices stopped. I placed her things gently on her bed and searched her room, but all of the electronics were turned off. "What are you doing?" Lily asked when she saw me bent down underneath her desk. "I thought I heard voices," I told her. "Really, Dad?" she asked. "No, seriously. I heard them, and then when I opened the door, they stopped." I heard my phone ringing from the kitchen, so I headed back downstairs and saw that I had missed a call from Lily's mom. Then she sent me a text that said, "Call me ASAP." The ASAP was in all capital letters. I let out a sigh. "Now what?" I whispered. I called her back and she was furious. "You didn't tell me that Ouija board was made out of bones," she yelled. I didn't know where she was getting her information from if it wasn't Lily or I telling her. Then it hit me. Jasmine was here last night, and she was the only other person to have seen the Ouija board. I'm sure they're not real bones, I assured her. How do you know that? Jasmine told me that her and Lily used that thing last night, and they almost burned the house down, she yelled. A candle tipped over and burnt off a corner of a pillow. That's all it was, and it had nothing to do with the game. I quickly realized that that was the wrong thing to say. A game? Those things are not games. They are not toys to be played with. They communicate with things that we don't understand. Using them can have serious consequences. I know you don't believe in that kind of stuff, but I do, she said, clearly upset. All right, I'll get rid of it, I promised her. I knew that Lily would be mad, but what choice did I have? If I let her keep it, I would never hear the end of it from her mother. Do you have the air on in here? I asked Lily as I entered her room. She was sitting at her desk wrapped up in a fleece blanket. It was the middle of August, but her room was freezing. No, she answered with a shiver. It hadn't felt this cold in here 5 minutes ago when I came in to leave her presents. Well, open your window and let some warm air in, I told her. And I need the Ouija board. Why? She asked. I'm sorry, but I'm getting rid of it. Your mom is throwing a fit about it. I'll buy you something else, I said. She stormed over to the window and forcefully opened it. Then she stomped over to the closet and retrieved the Ouija board from the top shelf. She handed it to me, and as I turned to leave, all of her balloons were laying on the floor in a pile, deflated. Are you kidding me? Lily screamed. Maybe it was too cold in here, I told her, knowing that it didn't quite make sense. I took the Ouija board outside and threw it in the trash. There was no need to keep it around. I didn't plan on using it. Lily was watching me from her bedroom window. When I waved, she just closed the shades. She spent the rest of the day alone in her room. She'd been doing that a lot more lately. Later that night after dinner, I grabbed the overflowing trash bag from the kitchen and headed outside. The Ouija board was gone from the trash can. I knew Lily had to have taken it. She watched me throw it away earlier, and now it was gone. I marched upstairs to her room and knocked loudly on the door. She was laying in her bed reading a book about spirits. Lily, where's the Ouija board? I asked. You threw it in the trash, she reminded me. I know that, but it's gone. Why did you take it? I accused. I didn't take anything. Go ahead, search my room, she told me, trying to prove her innocence. I felt horrible for accusing her. Maybe someone passing by had seen it in the trash and taken it. No, if you say you didn't take it, then I believe you. Good night, sweetie, I told her. I was awakened in the middle of the night by Lily's screams. I darted out of bed, and thinking that someone had broken into the house, I grabbed the bat that I always kept next to my bedroom door. I raced to her room, but when I tried to open the door, it wouldn't budge. I banged on it. Lily, honey, open the door, I said. It obviously wasn't locked because I could turn the knob back and forth, but it felt like someone was pushing up against it with all of their weight. After I finally kicked the door down and entered, it felt like an icebox in there again. Seeing that Lily's bed was empty made me panic. Her screams continued, but I just didn't know where they were coming from. As soon as I flicked on the light, the bulb shattered. Lily, where are you? I screamed. It was so cold that I could see my breath floating in front of me. After calming myself down and focusing on her screams, I noticed the bed skirt shaking and kneeled down on one knee. I slowly lifted it, and my heart stopped when our eyes met. She was twisted up tensely, screaming directly in my face. After yelling her name over and over, she finally woke up. She began to cry as she explained her nightmare to me. She said that some demonic thing had been chasing her. It kept saying that I had something that belonged to it, and he wanted it now, she cried. The next morning, I dropped Lily off at school and headed to work. Around noon, I got a call from my ex-wife. She told me that Lily had been picked up by the police, along with 4 other kids, for skipping school. They found them in a cemetery. So I left work and headed to the police station. I should have left her sit there until I got off, but I'm sure she was already scared enough. Her mother was already there when I arrived. "You told me you would get rid of that thing," she mumbled as we stood at the front desk waiting for Lily to be brought out. "What are you talking about?" I asked, confused. "Don't play dumb. The cops found her, with the Ouija board." Okay, now I was really irate. Lily told me that she hadn't taken the board from the trash. When one of the cops brought her out, she was sobbing. "Dad, I don't know how it got in there. It was in my book bag today when I got to school. I swear I didn't take it." I held out my hand. "Lily, give it to me." "Please, Dad, I need it," she pleaded as she gripped it and held it tightly to her chest. "Has she told you about her nightmares?" her mother asked me. I glanced at Lily and said, "You've had that nightmare before?" "Dad, it was just a dream," she said while staring down at the ground. Her mother told me that she'd been having nightmares every night, and they started after I gave her the Ouija board. I snatched it from Lily, took it home with me, and emailed Wish informing them that I was planning on sending it back because I didn't want it. I got a reply the following day telling me that shipping would cost me too much to send all the way back to China, so they encouraged me to donate the item. I guess that was fair enough, so I put it away in my bedroom closet until I got the chance to stop by the Salvation Army. That Friday, I picked up Lily from school. "Hey, do you want to talk about what happened the other day?" I asked, referring to the cemetery. She told me that she noticed the Ouija board in her book bag that morning when she got to school. "But I don't know how it got there," she said. Then she told me that instead of going to lunch, her and some friends decided to skip and head to Chick-fil-A. "You know there's that cemetery right down the road, so we thought it would be fun to go hang out in there." I couldn't see what was so fun about hanging out in a cemetery, but the things that entertain kids nowadays are just absurd. Lily stayed in her room all night. She barely touched her dinner, and she looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Hey, sweetie, is everything okay?" I asked her when I came in to say goodnight. She assured me that everything was fine. "I think I may be coming down with the flu or something," she told me. "Okay, well, if you don't feel better by Monday, I'll take you to the doctor before school." She agreed, and then we both headed to bed. When I awoke Saturday morning, I took a shower and then headed down to the kitchen. Lily was still in bed, so I decided to let her sleep in until after I was finished making breakfast. "Hey, sleepyhead," I said as I entered her room at 10 a.m. There she was, eyes and mouth wide open, just the way she had looked at me when I found her under the bed. She was hanging from the ceiling fan, and I could see the ligature marks from a belt tied tightly around her neck. Her desk chair was beneath her, but slightly off to one side. Her lips were swollen. It looked like she'd been stung by a bee, and they had started to bruise. Drool was dripping from one corner of her mouth, and there was a foamy substance on the top of her nightgown. I fell to my knees. It felt like my soul was being ripped from inside of me. I couldn't breathe, so I just collapsed right there beneath Lily's body. After lying there for what felt like an eternity, weeping, I finally mustered up enough strength to call the police. "My daughter, she killed herself," I uttered. That was all that I could get out before bursting into tears again. I managed to spit out my address and then I hung up. Next, I called her mother. I was relieved when she didn't answer the phone. I didn't know if I could summon up the courage to tell her. It was eating me up inside, so I couldn't even imagine what it was going to do to her. They weren't just mother and daughter. Even though they fought and didn't always get along, they were best friends. The police arrived a few minutes later, and I explained everything to them. They took pictures of her body and her room, and then finally the coroner took her away. My ex-wife called me back while I was being questioned, and I had to have one of the officers notify her about what had occurred. By the time she arrived, thankfully, they had already taken Lily's body away. "Where is she?" she screamed while bursting through the door. She raced upstairs to Lily's room, only to find it empty. "How could you let this happen?" she asked. I wasn't sure what she meant by that. She damn sure couldn't be accusing me, because saying that this was my fault was absolutely crazy. How could I have known? "She hasn't been the same since you gave her that Ouija board," she told me. She was so distraught that the police had to escort her home. I just sat there at my dining room table for hours, wondering why this happened. Why would Lily do this? She had a good life. She was a good kid, got good grades, and had lots of friends. She was upset when her mother and I told her that we were getting divorced, but she was old enough to understand why. She could see that we weren't in love anymore. But she adjusted to the change fine. We had a routine where she would come over every Friday after school and then stay until Monday morning when I dropped her back off there. Then she would spend the rest of the time with her mom. I never missed any of her softball games or band concerts. Anytime she needed me, I was always there. So if something was wrong, why hadn't she come to me this time? I remembered the Ouija board and headed to my closet to get it. I wasn't even sure how to use it, and I didn't know if Lily's spirit would try to communicate so soon after her death. But I had to try. I'd never taken it out of the box, so I hadn't gotten a good look at it until now. It looked like your typical Ouija board. It had the yes and no, letters A through Z, numbers 0 through 9, and the word goodbye engraved onto a wood board. The only thing that was different about this one was that the border was covered in bones. The planchet was also made from the same bone that surrounded the border. I assumed the bones were fake, but after looking closely and actually examining them, they looked as if they could be animal bone. The thought made me shudder. After reading the instructions, I decided to wait until that evening to attempt to speak to Lily. So that night, I gathered every single candle that I could find laying around the house. And after searching seances online, I learned that you should offer food, because that attracts a spirit. So I prepared a bowl of Lily's favorite soup, corn chowder, and a batch of cheesy garlic rolls, and then placed them in the middle of the dining room table. Next, I lit all of the candles and placed them in the center of the table as well. Then I turned off all of the lights in the house. I settled into my chair and started with, "My beloved Lily, I bring you these gifts from life into death. Communicate with me." I waited a while for a sign that she was there. When minutes passed and there was still nothing but silence, I whispered, "Please, Lily." Suddenly, I felt a cool breeze blow directly behind me. I was afraid to turn around, especially when I felt the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. "Lily, is that you?" I stayed up all night, waiting, and nothing happened. When the sun started to rise, I angrily blew out the candles and tossed the Ouija board across the kitchen floor. Immediately, I rushed to my computer to email Wish. My message said, "Because of the package you sent me, my daughter is dead. All I wanted was a backpack, not this. I wanted to give it to her for her birthday, but instead you sent me this demented thing. Why did you have to send me this?" I included pictures of it as well. The next morning, there was a knock at the door. I peeked out the window expecting to see a neighbor stopping by to give me their condolences, but the delivery man was standing there. I opened the door and he was holding a package. The box was crushed, but I could clearly read the label. It was from Wish. I tell the man that I'm not expecting any packages, but he just stares at me and shrugs. "I'm just doing my job, sir. Your address is on the label." Then he hands it to me and walks away. I took a knife and sliced open the package. It was the pink sequin backpack I ordered months ago for Lily. I didn't understand. They already sent me the wrong package and refunded my money. They never said anything about still sending me this one. Then a thought crossed my mind about the reviews. I remembered that many customers complained about receiving their packages months later. I go get the box from the garage that the Ouija board came in. I compare the writing on both the boxes, and it's clear that the lettering is completely different. The writing on the Ouija board package didn't appear to be Chinese at all. now that I was paying attention to it. A moment later, my cell phone chimed. It was a notification that I had 2 new emails. Both were from Wish. One saying that my package had just been delivered, and the other said, "We are so very sorry to hear about your loss. However, we do not sell that Ouija board that you sent in the pictures." The tracking confirmed my thoughts that this wasn't a Wish package. While holding the mysterious box, all I could think was if that package wasn't from Wish, then who was it from? Subscribe for a new story Mondays, Wednesdays, and don't forget Saturdays. See you next time on
Nina's Nightmares.
Really? You're supposed to click the like button, not me. Ugh.